I guess my last point that I want to talk about this too was, so when I saw the statement about the Celtics and the Heat and the other teams like the Warriors and the Milwaukee Bucks, they're like kneeling in solidarity in this literal peaceful protest of what's been going on in the Capitol. And then, Jared's back at it again, reading the Facebook comments. And when I read the Celtics fans' comments on Facebook and they're talking about they don't understand what they're talking about, this is so ignorant for them to make a statement regarding Kenosha, regarding all the other stuff that's been going on in Wisconsin, and regarding just DC politics in general, and wanting to keep politics out of sports. But this is some big fucking news. Just this past year, everybody knows what we've all been going through, and it would just be a disservice if none of these teams were just, if all of these teams were just acting like everything was okay. So obviously people are going to be talking about DC. This is like literal news, like what you're saying, humanitarian right. It doesn't always have to be politicized, but it's just that really annoying line that Americans, I guess, American fans like that continue to draw about, oh, these players shouldn't be talking about politics. They're not qualified. And it's just really ignorant for them to continue that sentiment.
Yeah, and it's crazy just because the news about like the officers who shot Jacob Blake not getting basically charged, the fact that that came out like, did it come out the day before, like hours before this happened? And you just kind of start thinking about what would have happened if, if it was Black Lives Matter breaking into the Capitol. Like, there would obviously be a lot more shots fired than there were. And I think that's why like a lot of the players were kneeling. That's why the statements had to be made too.
Absolutely. And even Doc Rivers, I think even Steve Kerr has made comments regarding like just the overall privilege that's been going on just yesterday in general. And yeah, it'd be completely different if everybody that stormed the Capitol building was black. And
Some of those pictures we saw, dude, with them like sitting in their chairs, and like I think one of them was on in Nancy Pelosi's desk and like took some of her mail. Like, that's insane.
I know, and I was literally at the dentist's office when I was watching this go down, and I was like, okay, I'm not like drugged up or anything or on anesthesia. Like this is actually legitimately happening, and I didn't even know how to react. I don't know if I'm at a loss for words or have too many words to talk about that. But I mean, yeah, obviously inside of the NBA, that crew with Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny are going to be talking about it, and this is some big news. This is stuff that's actually worth talking about. And for people to just sit there and say, oh, I just want to forget about the rest of the world when I watch sports, it's like it doesn't have to be so black and white like that. Like these players have opinions too. Not all of them have good opinions, just like the rest of America, but at the very least, just try to listen.
Yeah, and they're people too, and they've earned that platform through their hard work. So if they want to speak out about things that they care about, like, why not? Why can't they do that? They're people. Like,
Yeah, we're just all those fans are just so used to looking at these players like they're just for pure entertainment, as if they don't have a heart and soul and a brain to actually form their own opinions.
and like they think that they're not really affected by what's going on, especially because they're making so much money. They're like, why do you even worry about it? Like, you're set. But I mean, I personally have like read a lot or heard podcasts about how some of them have like escapers, or not escapers, like, what I'm talking about, like escapers guilt or remorse, like they made it out but some of their friends didn't, and they like, maybe they got killed by the police, or they got swept up in gang stuff, and um yeah, basically they just have that remorse and they want to speak about it because they feel guilty, which is why they're also trying to give back to their community, because there's so many kids within their communities that didn't get to make it out and weren't as fortunate as they were. Like, in some cases, I think they talk about other players who were, they think, even more talented as them, but they weren't able to make it out because they got involved in like other things, and things just didn't break their way.
Yeah, that's definitely a reality that a lot of these other sports fans that just are couch potatoes and don't understand the context of a player growing up, that this is the realities that they face. And I guess on some level, I understand the sentiment of, oh, you don't want to be valuing these celebrities and multimillionaires' opinions like completely. But I don't think, well, I can only speak for ourselves and, myself, that we're we're not dumb. We have our own opinions too. We're not gonna look at, say, I don't know, Michael Porter Jr.'s stance on anti-vaccinations and say like, "Yup, that's
Yikes.
who I want to follow. That's the philosophy I'm trying to follow." Like, no, we have our own brains too. When we see these athletes and these celebrities talk about legislation that'll influence the common American, sometimes we'll be like, yeah, that's right. Or sometimes we'll just take it with a grain of salt and we'll understand that some of them have more disconnects from reality than others.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.